Thanks to the economic plan we put through in Congress earlier this year and a successful vaccine deployment, America continues to add jobs at a record pace. In its historically strong recovery, unemployment rate has fallen again today, down to 4.6%. This included a substantial drop in unemployment for Hispanics, which was much needed. Our economy is on the move. This morning, we learned that in October, our economy created 531,000 jobs, well above expectations. We also learned that job growth over the prior 2 months, August and September, was nearly 250,000 more jobs than previously thought. In total, the job creation in the first full 9 months of my administration is about 5.6 million new jobs, a record for any new president. And before we passed the rescue plan, forecasters said it would take to the end of 2023 to get to 4.6 unemployment rate. Today, we've reached that rate 2 years before forecasters thought it was possible. I would humbly suggest this is a significant improvement from when I took office and a sign that we're on the right track. This did not happen by accident or just because. We laid the foundation for this recovery with my American Rescue Plan that Congress passed at the beginning of my term. It put money in working families' pockets. It gave families with kids a tax cut each month. It helped keep small businesses going in the dark days earlier this year. And it provided the resources needed to launch one of the fastest mass vaccination programs ever. Yes, there's a lot more to be done. We still have to tackle the costs that American families are facing. But this recovery is faster, stronger, and fairer and wider than almost anyone could have predicted. That's what the numbers say. But we want to make sure that people continue to feel it in their lives, in their bank accounts, in their hopes and expectations for a tomorrow that's better than today. That's what it's all about. Thanks to the economic plan we put through in Congress earlier this year and a successful vaccine deployment, America continues to add jobs at a record pace.
In need of a win, President Joe Biden celebrated the strong October jobs report on Friday after a disappointing loss for Democrats this week in Virginia, where voters chose a Republican for governor in a state Biden won handily in 2020. Biden said the boost in U.S. employment showed significant progress in the country's economic recovery under Democratic leadership.
Over 5.5 million jobs. Unemployment down a record pace to 4.6%. And before we passed the rescue plan, forecasters said it would take to the end of 2023 to get to 4.6 unemployment rate. Today, we've reached that rate 2 years before forecasters thought it was possible. I would humbly suggest this is a significant improvement from when I took office.
Biden, whose approval ratings last week were at the lowest level of his presidency, touted his COVID-19 policies as reasons for the economy's improvement. He was also eager to show that his party can move forward on his agenda, urging lawmakers to pass his infrastructure and social spending bills to build on the economic momentum.
I want to say very clearly, if your number one issue is the cost of living, the number one priority should be seeing Congress pass these bills.
Democrats intend to pass Biden's domestic spending plans through the narrowly divided House and Senate despite vehement opposition from Republicans, who are citing the Virginia win and a close governor's race in New Jersey as signs they will take back control of Congress in the 2022 elections.
Now that people are going back to gyms and back outdoors, they're no longer lusting for Peloton's pricey at-home exercise bikes. Peloton shares sank by a third at the market open Friday after the company swung from a quarterly profit to a loss. It lowered its annual sales forecast, and its holiday quarter outlook also missed analysts' targets. The bike maker was something of a lockdown standout, but growth slowed as health restrictions ebbed. That shift boosted earnings at gym franchises such as Planet Fitness. Peloton responded by boosting its marketing efforts and slashing the price of its most popular bike by $400. But sales grew at its slowest pace in more than a year. On top of all that, the global chip shortage, supply disruptions, and rising freight costs forced the firm to pay more to bring its product to customers, further eroding its bottom line. Peloton rode the stay-at-home stock boom as its shares jumped nearly sixfold last year, but the stock has plummeted roughly 60% so far this year. A new U.S. jobs report out Friday painted a surprisingly better picture of overall hiring. Not only did employers add 531,000 workers in October, but the report revised figures in September and August sharply higher, and the unemployment rate dropped further to 4.6%. The economy added jobs nearly across the board. The sectors with the biggest gains: leisure and hospitality, professional services, and manufacturing. The report offered more evidence of resurgent economic activity after the Delta variant and goods shortages had hampered growth over the summer. But the U.S. Labor Department data show there's still a lot of room to grow. Millions remain unemployed and outside the labor force, and more than 10 million jobs are unfilled as of the end of August.
Upbeat news on the economy and a drug to fight the health crisis kept Wall Street's winning streak of record highs intact. The Dow rallied 203 points, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq jumped to their seventh consecutive record closing highs. With the S&P 500 now up 25% year to date, the strength of this stock market is quite remarkable, says Bauer Stock Capital Partners' Emily Hill.
It's been a long time since stocks have been this overvalued. So I continue to be fairly astounded by the continued rise in the market.
You can add the economy to the list of things going right for the stock market. For the first time in 3 months, U.S. hiring exceeded expectations. Employers added 531,000 new jobs in October, and September's figure was upwardly revised. The unemployment rate dropped to 4.6%, and wages were up 4.8% from a year ago. One negative: workers who moved out of the workforce don't appear to be in a rush to come back. The so-called labor participation rate remains subdued. Pfizer's news on a trial COVID-19 treatment infused even more confidence into the market. The drug maker said its experimental antiviral pill to treat COVID-19 was shown to cut the chances of hospitalization or death for adults at risk of developing severe disease by 89%. The trial results were so good, Pfizer stopped the trial early and will seek emergency authorization use. Pfizer is second with a possible COVID drug. Merck also has a drug that's up for approval. Shares of Pfizer surged nearly 11%. Travel, leisure, and entertainment stocks rallied on prospects a COVID treatment could entice people to spend more time out of the house. Looking at a few names, Delta Airlines jumped 8%. Movie theater chain Cinemark rallied more than 8%. All that optimism surrounding the economic reopening helped investors overlook disappointing sales and a weak outlook from Shake Shack. Shares of the high-end burger chain surged more than 16%.